Raymond. Let's go, Raymond.
Welcome.
All
right.
Raymond.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. I love you guys.
Yes, Raymond, we love you. Unmute yourself, Raymond. Unmute, baby. There you go.
All right. Thank you, Valerie. I love you. It's good to see you. Yvette, thanks for sharing. I felt you. I think, I lost 2 sons. I felt you. I feel you, and so, when the pain comes, God shows up. Obviously, I've been around a little while. I've done some work. God has always been there. God has always been there. I come to understand now. I think the literature says that God's love has been there all along, just waiting for us to, so God has always been there. I have not, if you look at today's just for today, I've been in a spiritual coma. I didn't know that such a thing exists, and I've been in a spiritual coma. I have not been able to see the light. I've been able to feel the heat, but not see the light, and so I want to share that. I really want to, because of what you shared, Eva, it touched into some of my stuff. So I'm an addict. My name is Raymond. I've been clean. This month will be 34 years. I travel all over the world. I'm married 27 years. I got an incredible life. I own, I got all the gifts. That there's one promise, but there's many, 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 many gifts. One promise, many, 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 many. Listen, unlimited, right? Unlimited. Now, there's people who have not experienced the unlimited, and they, not because they're malicious or they just don't understand. There's unlimited growth, right? When the addict, puts on the drugs and works the program, you guys know the rest of it. And so, I was helping addicts all over the world. In NA, I do a lot of service in NA, and then outside of NA, I became a servant. I found out that service is like a secret to success. The more you help other people, the more you get blessed. I learned that in NA. I'm an addict. I might be insane, but I'm not stupid. And so this works. Helping people works. Helping people works. So I'm helping people all over the world. I'm going into prisons. I'm going into religious organizations. I'm going into the streets. I'm going in meetings, conventions, speaker jams, events, and I'm helping addicts all over the world, carrying the message of hope. Hope, I got clean at 17 years old. If you're young, get clean at 17. I went to jail clean. I lost my mind clean. My mental health was bad clean. They got dirty cells with clean addicts. That's my experience. You can stay clean through all the defective drama, insanity, 2 girls pregnant in the same home. I'm sharing the message. But you can stay clean. You can stay clean. You can act out and cry and suffer. And the disease of addiction is about, the vicious cycle of compounded suffering. That's what the disease wants. It wants to put the addict in the corner, eventually where the addict cannot get out of clean. And there's another corner where the addict might hang himself or blow his brains out. So I've been able to go and carry the message about being clean and crazy and staying clean. I know that clean and crazy is not the goal, but clean and crazy is better than using and crazy. You understand? I'll take an abstinent day without recovery over a using day any day. You understand? So I've been carrying the message, doing this thing, and I'm helping addicts all over the world. Here's my point. I'm helping addicts all over the world in different venues and I can't help the addict in my home. You understand? I can't help my son. And you guys know it's too close for comfort. You can't carry it. And my son dies. My son dies the day before his 20th birthday. And my heart is broken. And what can I do? And so I want to go to the literature real quick, right? Because this is, there's a beautiful line in the literature, because I said I'm living an incredible life. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm a big shot outside of NA. I'm successful, blah, blah. But look what the literature says, because it doesn't matter how successful you are. If you're not spiritually connected, if you don't have peace, if you don't have love, then that's not. So check out what the literature says real quick. And it says, as many of us stay clean, this is the 3rd step in the step working guides. As many of us stay clean for some time, we work on developing an understanding of God for ourselves. Our growing understanding reflects our experiences. That means something, which is good, but I don't got time for that right now. But our growing understanding reflects our experiences. Now, I got experiences that are reflecting it's not just theory. I'm not theorizing. I'm experiencing, I'm growing. All right, great. we mature. I'm maturing into an understanding of God that gives us peace and serenity. I've matured into an understanding of God that's given me peace and serenity. This is wonderful. Wow, this is great literature. It says we trust our higher power and are optimistic about life. I don't know if you know what optimistic means. I was a hater. I was a negative, ugly guy. The meeting is not good. The coffee's not hot. The speaker sucks. Blah. I was a negative person, always looking at what's negative and what's bad. That's just part of my nature. I find what's not good. Now I became optimistic. This is a good meeting. Man, the speaker, I'm looking at the good stuff. I'm focusing on the good stuff. I'm not in a headlock no more from the disease. I'm optimistic. The cup is not only half full. Thank God I got a cup. You understand? So I'm optimistic about life. I got a growing understanding, got peace and serenity, blah, blah, blah. Everything is, it says we begin to feel like our lives are touched by something beyond our comprehension. And we are glad and grateful that this is so. If you can look at that paragraph, there's a lot of wonderful things happening. Optimism. There's experience, higher power, maturity, peace, serenity, glad. I'm comprehending some stuff. The next line says this. Raymond is doing great in recovery, working steps, spiritual, found God, doing. Then something happens. Then something happens. Listen to what it says. That challenges everything we believe about a higher power or make us doubt the existence of that power altogether. I don't know if you ever been through a spiritual crisis or crisis of faith, but I've been through several, right? I've been through it. Like if I'm getting clean, when I was new, there can't be a loving God. I don't care what the book says. I don't care what the speaker says. I don't care. There cannot be a loving God. If there was, he missed my whole block. You understand? My whole block he missed. And there was nothing loving about the trauma and the abuse and the dysfunction. And I can go on and on. There cannot be a loving God. You understand? And so even when I was young, even growing up, I was challenged with faith and spirituality and God. How can there be a loving God when terrible things happen to 6-year-old little boys in church basements and blah, 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 8-year-old? I can go. And so how can it be a loving God? And then I get clean and I stop, because there's pain that's self-inflicted, right? A lot of us, we're just going to cause more pain. We're going to try to control situations. I'm going to try to force her to love me. I'm going to sex her like nobody ever sexed her. And I'm going to hem him up. I'm going to intimidate him. I'm going to emotionally blackmail her. I'm going to gaslight. I'm going to, the defects. We're all about control and defects. And I know I'm sharing on me, but it's a we program. We got a disease that manifests itself in our character defects. The disease wants to use the character defects to finish the job it started with the drugs. I'm not drinking alcohol no more. I'm drinking lust. I'm not smoking marijuana no more. I'm smoking resentments. I'm not sniffing cocaine no more. I'm sniffing insecurity. You guys understand. So after getting clean, I begin to act out and try to fill the spiritual void with everything from the outside. The literature says that the first time I step in with a vacuum, I'm left with a vacuum. You know what a vacuum does? It sucks up everything that you put in front of it. So I'm sucking up everything that you put in front of me. I got a void. I got a vacuum. And I bring pain. Self-inflicted pain, a vicious cycle of compounded self-inflicted pain. That's what we do. It's part of the process, right? Most of us need breakdowns or before the breakthrough. You understand? I need to get sick and when we are beaten, we become willing. Right? If we didn't come to such desperation, we wouldn't come to the literature. Pain is a very important part of life. Suffering is something else. When you got to lose, I buried 2 sons. The young lady who just shared buried her. Things happen. Life happens. And how do I handle pain? I can't throw drugs on it. I don't want to throw pornography on it. I don't want to throw sex on it. Those things, they make the pain worse. I've been here long enough. I've done enough work. I've suffered enough to understand that throwing shame and guilt on top of pain is going to compound my suffering. And I might lose my mind with 30 years clean, with 25 years clean. This disease is an expert at. So I got to continue to do the work. And I'm going to go through spiritual crisis. I'm a human being. I want what I want when I want it. I feel I got a spiritual sense of entitlement. Why did God let this happen to me? I lost my mother. I lost my son. Lost my 19-year-old son died before 20 years old, the day before his 20th birthday. My 17-year-old son died in a car accident in Long Island. My brother died in active. I could go on and on and on, right? Me and grief have become intimate friends. I tell people grief has the key to my house and it comes whenever it wants to, you know? And so, but this literature says, very important, that, I'm gonna be able. I'm challenged about everything I believe about higher power, and I even, is there, where's God? Well, how can God live? And that's part of life. When I'm not creating the pain, and life happens, and people die, and people change their minds, and when I feel like I'm being victimized, because I'm not, as much as I speak victimese, I'm not. I don't know how to be I'm not a good victim. You understand? And so when life happens, my initial inclination is to question God, and I turn into a baby, and this is me, Ray G from the group home, want to be gangster, want to be spiritual, this, that, whatever. I'm a human being, and I go through human emotions, and I got a disease. I don't care how I'm drug free. I'm not drug proof, and the disease ain't gone nowhere. It's just gotten more sophisticated. And so it's challenged. I'm challenged. I feel challenged about what I believe about my higher power. And is God still good when you got to bury your two sons? And is God still good when I've seen miracles? I've seen I've seen bona fide medical miracles. And when I prayed for my mother, and God didn't heal my mother, and God, he told me no. Sometimes God says no, or he has a different idea than I got. Is God still good when I'm suffering inside, when I got emotional turmoil, when I got grief that I don't know how to process, so I got to work this thing out for myself, and everybody got to tell themselves whatever they got to tell themselves to get through whatever they're going through. All right. So it says here, I'm challenged. I begin to doubt everything. And it says here, check it out. It says it may be a death or injustice or loss. Whatever it is, it leaves us feeling as though we've been kicked in the stomach. We just can't understand. This is great third step stuff. Pain, God. Times like these are when we need our higher power the most. Right? Bernard T from Connecticut shared, and he touched my soul, and my sponsor is great, and he did, and he touched my soul, and Yvette just shared, and Valerie, but there's some things that only God can do. There are some things that only God can do. And so I need God. It says our understanding of a higher power is about to undergo dramatic change. Right? I'm wrestling with God. How can you let this happen to me? What's going on? I'm serving you. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Again, I'm being me with God, and God can handle it. You might not be able to handle it, but God can handle it. And I'm throwing my temper tantrum, and I'm bringing my pain, and I'm bringing my suffering, and I'm bringing my self-centered perspective, and God is able to handle it. Third step talks about that. It says we need to keep reaching out to higher power, asking. Now, this is where it hit me the most, asking for acceptance, if not understanding. I can't understand why certain things happen the way they do. My friend, Pedro from 360, his 9-year-old daughter just died recently. 2-day-old baby died. There's something I don't understand. My mind is too small, and I can't grasp it. I don't understand it. God has a different perspective than I have, and I have to accept that. But I need to accept what God allows. That's the hit I got in my suffering. Raymond, accept what God allows. Don't try to understand it, because if I try to understand it, I lose my mind. The disease plays me for a sucker when I'm trying to understand it. And it says eventually we'll reestablish our relationship with a higher power, although probably on different terms. And I've been able to establish my relationship on different terms. I'm not God. I'm not going to get what I want. Life is not fair. Things are not going to happen the way I want them to. I get that. I need to practice these principles. I need to make meetings. I need to talk to my sponsor. I need to share what the Recovering at. I need to practice the tools I've been given, the simple, basic tools I've been given to navigate through these profound, deep emotions that are overwhelming at times. And so it says here, eventually we're established. Eventually, at some point in time, I'm going to establish my relationship with my higher power, but I'm going to go through my friction. I'm going to go through my process. Now, okay, so as our understanding of higher power grows and evolves, we find that we react differently when to what goes on in our lives. All right. So I've learned how to, because of the pain and the suffering I've been able to go through clean. I would never chose to go through any of this, but because of the stuff that I went through clean, and I'm not talking about self-inflicted. Because self-inflicted is just the entirely ready process. The 6th step, we were entirely ready. That requires a lot of suffering. right? We're entirely ready to reach that spiritual state, the sixth step. I gotta think I'm smarter than everybody. I'm more beautiful than everybody. I'm the best lover. I'm the toughest guy. I gotta think I'm the smartest guy. I gotta let self-will run its course so I can come to the end of myself, right? You know that section in the first step, hitting bottom. You know, it says at this, now we get to the point where we see the nature of our problem. The nature of our problem is spiritual. It's a spiritual problem. And it says that when we find out that our relationships have been a sham, a parody, and you know, that happens to people with 20 years clean, 25 years clean. I don't know that I'm in active addiction. I'm not using drugs. I didn't know I put down the drugs and I picked up woman. I did not put down the drugs, picked up woman, and picked up money. I did not put down the drugs, put up woman, picked up money, picked up, you know, vanity and jewelry. And I didn't, it wasn't until I hit the second step says, at this point, we begin to feel the pain. We need pain. This pain forces us to seek a power greater than ourselves. So that pain is an important part of the process. And some people say suffering is optional. Self-inflicted suffering is optional. But I'm suffering with loss of my children, loss of loved ones, and I call it, because of my experience in my 11th step, I call it sweet suffering. Sweet suffering. Because I love my sons. And when I cry and when I grieve and when I'm hurting, when I'm triggered, anytime I pass exit 15 in Brooklyn, right, I get triggered. Anytime, you know, my children are worth every tear that I shed. So even though it's painful, but I'm to the degree that I've loved my sons, or to the degree that I must feel the pain of grief. So love and grief are tied together. I get that. So, but I've been able to mature. If you look at the growing pain section of a living clean, right? We go through stuff. We don't grow in the dark. We don't glow in the dark no more. We grow in the dark. Because I got tools and I already try to run away from feelings and try to medicate my emotions and try to sex it up and shop it and money. And listen, I'd rather just, it's so much easier feeling it. Just feel it. This sucks. This hurts. God, this is, and go through my 11th step, spiritual warfare, schizophrenia, bipolar, mental disorder process of praying and seeking God and sounding crazy for 5 minutes and processing it and getting to the other side. So I've been able to, you know, I've been through a lot of things in my recovery. I'm not done, you know, I'm still alive. I'm going to go through more things. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm married 27 years. We're happily married, but that can change. I've seen things happen. I got 2 grandkids, going to have a 3rd grandkid. I'm happy, joyous, and free. Things can happen. Life is going to happen. And so my job is to do all this step work, to go to meetings, to do service, to continue to do the things that got me here, because those same things are going to get me through whatever's coming in 2025. There's storms coming. There's a Jewish guy in Brooklyn. His name is Ross, right? And he's famous for saying, you know, did you hear the weather report? There's a storm coming. You know, okay, that's cool. Ross, you got to prepare. If you're not in the storm, prepare for the storm. Prepare for the storm. Stay ready so you don't got to get ready, right? This whole different things. So I know I'm not, you know, if you look at January, just for today, our greatest need, I've been clean long enough. I tried everything else. I'm not, you know, I've been able to, I'm grateful that the grace of God has consumed me. And this is not a talking program. As great as, check it out. You know, I like to talk. Ron H, you know, I want to share. And like, this is not a talking program. This is a living program. You understand? And so I got to be able to apply the spiritual principles embodied in the steps. That's where the freedom, that's where the money's at. When I'm overwhelmed with emotion, when I'm going through pain, there's different types of pain from mild to severe, right? There's emotional pain, there's mental pain, there's spiritual pain, there's physical pain. Like, you know, I had strokes, I got physical stuff going on. There's all different types of pain. The answer is always the same. Use the tools that have been given to you. Call your sponsor, make a meeting, talk about it, write about it. If you don't talk it out, you're gonna act it out, right? If you don't talk about it, you're gonna misdirect you. I learned some things, right? Who can heal my hurts? What does the second? I need a power that can heal I need healing. I just need identification is great. Me too is wonderful. I need healing. I need God to heal these hurts. If God don't heal these hurts, I'm going to bleed over everybody that didn't hurt me, right? You guys know the deal. I need God to heal these hurts. Unresolved pain, unresolved shame, unresolved resentments. always fuel defective behavior. And I don't need to. So going to God through the steps, obviously I have a relationship with God now, right? My God has a name. I'm not gonna tell you my God's name, but my God has a name. I have an intimate relationship with God. The third step says, as important as it is, as important to find out what a higher power is more important that you develop a relationship with that higher power, right? I develop a relationship with a higher power. God loves me. I understand that God loves me, that things are going to happen. And if I go to God, he'll get me through them. Now, there's a saying, it's how you look at it, yin and yang. That people say, don't worry, God will not give you more than you can handle. Well, I've had more than I can handle. That's my time. 5 minutes. Or what does it say? I'm sorry, I didn't see it. 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes.
5 minutes.
Thank you, Valerie. So they say God will not give you more than you can handle. Well, I've had more than I can handle, but with the fellowship, with a sponsor, with making meetings with God, I've been. It was too much for me, but we can handle it. I cannot handle it. I can't forget it. It's we. It's not me. It's still the fellowship. How does God show up when the pain comes? How does God show up? You know how God showed up? Through H&I. You know how God showed up when I went to my first son, when Ryan died, when I went to identify the body, right? You know how God showed up before I got there. You know, when I got there, who was there before me? You guys were there before me. I don't know how y'all found out that Ryan had overdosed and died, but when I got to the place, there was addicts there waiting for me already. When my son Joseph died in a car accident, and when I went to go to the scene of the accident, you know who was there before me? You guys. God still speaks through people. God still uses you. I'm not gonna get so spiritual that I'm gonna defecate on the fellowship. I'm not gonna do that. I love Narcotics Anonymous. It was narcotics that God used to draw me to himself. It was narcotics that God used to reveal himself to me. It was the love of the fellowship that I don't ever want to get so spiritual or so religious that I forget that God brought me to NA, and it was the NA fellowship that introduced me to God. The NA literature, the NA speakers, Ron H., Usman D., Jamil the General, Khalis, I can go on, And so I'm one of those guys that before my 3 minutes is up, I'm one of those guys that literature talks about that I stuck around broken, suffering for a little while in NA, only to find God in some religious cult or another. That happened to me. I found God, and the literature warns people like me that find God after sitting around suffering and broken for a little while. Do not float out the door on a cloud of religious zeal, forgetting that you're an addict with incurable disease. I've been blessed to find God. I love God. I serve God. My family serves God. I'm all about God. If you look at, I'm going to Pakistan on Tuesday. I'm going to Jordan. I'm going to Senegal, Africa. I'm going to Turkey. I'm serving God in NA and outside of NA, right? But I'm still making meetings. I'm still showing up. My feet are still firmly planted in the roots of Narcotics Anonymous. Some people get a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. They get so smart, the disease turns them into stupids. They stop making meetings. They forget that they can, that some people get so spiritual, they get so religious that the disease slow walks them religiously into the shooting gallery. And so I've seen things. They say this, I'm going to shut it down. A smart man learns from his mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. But the wisest people, they learn from the successes of others. So I've seen what works in this guy's life. I've seen people recover. I've seen I want to win. I want more of what God has to offer. I got a minute and 44 seconds. If I would have used or I would have hurt somebody when my first son died, if I would have used or hurt somebody, I was going through all types of thoughts, I would have never been able to see my granddaughter come in. What an incredible gift. When my second son died, if I would have found out who he was racing and how that car accident happened and all this other stuff, and I would have went to jail, I would not get to see my second grandchild, my grandson, be born. Right. So I got it. When it's snowing right now, but the sun is going to shine, and I can't be so mentally unwell that I can't embrace both. I got to embrace both. The sun is going to shine and it's going to snow. It's going to suck and it's going to be wonderful. I got to embrace both. And so if you go through some pain, just know that the basics work wonderfully. if you haven't found God in Narcotics Anonymous yet, a lot of people are suffering because they got a spiritual crisis. I'm going to say this, get mad at me. It's a spiritual, it's disguised, the literature says, as a relationship problem. It's disguised as a financial problem. It's disguised, but it's a spiritual problem. It's a God issue. So if you're experiencing enough pain, desperation is always a gift, no matter what phase of recovery you're in. And hitting bottom is part of the process, even though you got to hit bottom several times. I'm an addict. My name is Raymond. Thank you guys for inviting me. Valerie, I love you. I'll see you at a meeting in Brooklyn sometime. Thank you for letting me share.
Amazing. Thank you, my brother, Pastor Raymond.
Good job, Raymond, as always.